I didn't ever think of myself as being a sketchbook person or a sketchbook artist necessarily, but somehow miraculously I have managed to complete not one but 2 sketchbooks in a fairly short period of time. So let me take you through how I did it, why I did it, and what it means now that I've completed them. These are the sketchbooks in question, number 1 and number 2. As you can see, we like a sticker in this house. This one's got stickers on front and back. This one, just the front. I don't know why I managed to miss the back of this one, but anyway, c'est la vie. Although I have completed quite a few sketchbooks over the last couple of years, it seems to me that wanting to get into more of a practice with my sketchbook is kind of pushed by the desire to actually want to make bigger pieces of works of art that I can sell and or share with people. And the only way I think to get there is to do some kind of practice, whether it's on sheets of paper or on canvas or wherever. I've kind of chosen to do it in sketchbooks, hoping that somehow, somewhere, something will be revealed to me that will kind of give me an ultimate push and a desire to make bigger work. I don't really care if I have pages and pages of work that is you know, not good or rubbish or whatever, because this ultimately is practice. I don't need to be making beautiful work for anyone other than myself. When I was doing some swatching, I was discovering lots of different pencils that I liked the feel of and that I didn't like the feel of, and so that was great and a revelation to me. So there were lots of opportunities for me to play, which I really loved. Sometimes, you know, the play results in something great, sometimes not so great, but the wonky ones and the not so great ones, actually I enjoy looking back at more because they make me laugh and I find the humour in them. Fails mean that I have to practice a little bit more, I have to get a bit better if I want to actually draw things properly or if I want things to look more realistic. You know, if I really start to study the sketchbooks in some detail, I'm going to start to see the things that will point me in the direction of the work that I want to do, you know, works outside of the sketchbook, you know, kind of finished works on paper or on canvas. I'd say there's probably about 3 or 4 key things that I took away from this practice of being in my sketchbook daily. First thing that I've learned is daily practice is crucial and enjoyable, and I want to do it every day. I look forward to doing it every day. If I try and get it done here in the garden in the morning, first thing when I let the cats out and it's nice and quiet and it's nice and cool, I get some sketching done and then I feel like I've done something for the day already. Second thing that I would say I have discovered is that having a kit, having my sketchbook and having a small kit of materials with me at all times means that I can sketch wherever I am, whether that's at home, and I've got a little kit that I keep in my kitchen, which is a beautiful little kind of carry bag that I can kind of have upstairs or downstairs. I can carry it around the house with me, and it has lots of different pots of coloured pencils and markers, etc. in it, as well as a pouch, which is a kind of Delfonics pouch with lots of pens and pencils and pens in it that I can kind of take with me on the go. So there's no excuse really for me to not be able to be sketching wherever I am, whether I've gone to a doctor's appointment or if I'm on the tube travelling somewhere or if I'm looking after cats. That's a perfect opportunity for me to sit quietly and do some sketching. There's always an opportunity in a day for me to be doing something, so there's no excuse really. And if I've got the kit with me, then it's easy just to open the sketchbook and to do something, a couple of pages at most. I figured out that I like both bold colour and fine black line. Now the fine black line thing makes perfect sense because when I did my art degree, my BA, I did printmaking and I was an etcher, and you know, black lines in an etching plate are the absolute chef's kiss for me. I absolutely adore them. So working in black line and sketching, it's not a surprise that I enjoy that, but I really love the kind of fine liner and I love to sketch quickly with a fine liner and I like the kind of results I get from that. However, I also really enjoy some bold colour and I like the combination of the black fine liner with some bold colour. So perhaps I can find a way in which to take that into bigger pieces. The sketches that I really loved in the sketchbook are gestural. So certainly the ones that I've done super quickly and that I haven't had time to think about too much or to tickle the page or to try and get right. The ones that are quick, that are done with simple line or just with one colour, they're like my absolute favourites, and I need to find a way in which to replicate that kind of immediacy and, you know, kind of quickness of line and quickness of approach to sketching and to making work, and see how I can replicate that on a kind of a bigger scale. The top 2 favourite materials to use in my sketchbook have been a black fine liner a Micron Fineliner, and or the Caran Neocolour IIs. The black fineliner, great for gestural work, super quick, you know, getting something down quickly and really enjoying the kind of quality of the line and the quality of the work that I can produce with that material. The Neocolour II obviously offer me the opportunity to add colour to a sketch, but also I really enjoy the texture of them. You can be super light and super fine with them and create a really beautiful fine texture, or you can go really, really hard and get like a thick, bold colour with them. So I really enjoy those. I very, very rarely do I ever activate them as watercolours. I just like them. I like them dry, as it were. And yeah, I've really enjoyed using them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through these sketchbooks. I'll take you through this one first because this is the one from October 24 to May 26, and then I'll take you through this one, which is the one that I finished the quickest, which was from May to June 26. So this was like a 2-monther. So I'm going to do like a top-down view now, and I'll take you through the sketchbooks, and I'll kind of point out the sketches that I loved the most, the ones that I learnt the most from, and the ones that I feel like I want to kind of further develop and perhaps do bigger works of. First off, in every sketchbook I always do like an opening double spread. I try to paint an opening double spread that just is a kind of an introduction to the sketchbook. And the thing that I kind of enjoy about this particular way of working is the kind of graphic quality of it, the kind of poster quality of it. Not sure that that's the kind of work I want to make, but I do enjoy doing it. We get to these pages, and this is a super quick sketch with a fineliner and some marker, probably a Tombow marker, or let's see, something like what's it, the Ecoline markers, which I really enjoy using. It's probably that I've used here. Has been super, super quick. It's just an observed can of Fanta, and it's wonky, but I love it. I really enjoy the quality of it. Pencil tends to get in your way a little bit because you think, oh, it has to be beautifully rendered, etc., etc., and it doesn't. You know, you could use pencil the exact same way as I'm using the fineliner, but the fineliner for some reason just gives me more freedom. I don't know why. And then speaking of pencil, actually, I think this is like a charcoal pencil. It's a little sketch I did of a cat called Risha, who I'd been looking after for a couple of years. I looked after her over the Easter break. I did a house sit for that client and looked after her. So she's an elderly cat, so I was able to get her in lots of resting poses, and that's just like a 1-minute quick little sketch of her. But I feel like there's minimal line there, but actually really gives you the sense of her in that kind of sleeping pose, which is really lovely. This one was done in fineliner. Let me see if I can put it flat for you. And although it's not absolutely perfect in terms of the kind of proportions and the body shape and everything, it gives you enough of her. And one thing that I learned doing this is that with fur, sometimes just doing minimal marks actually will give you a sense of what the fur looks like and how it lays and stuff without you having to kind of colour in the entire body. I enjoyed the process of doing this sketch. It took a little while, but I feel like it really got her. So these pages are an indicator of what I most enjoy, which is quick gestural drawings of the cats. Now, quite often the cats are not staying still. They move around quite a lot. So trying to capture what they're doing in a pose, their face, their body shape, super quickly is a really good exercise in trying to get the proportions and trying to get the shape of their body and their faces down properly, correctly. I mean, that obviously is not quite right, but I like the wonkiness of it. And same with this one, you can tell that's the back of a cat's head. They're looking up and they're kind of scrunched up with their back and their neck here in a similar fashion to that. And so it gives you the kind of essence of the cat and it gives you the essence of their pose without being too precious about, you know, a beautiful rendered drawing. Quickly rendered sketches are truly like where I enjoy myself most. This cat, Ithel, is all white, and also one of our cats, Boo, is all grey. And I find with cats that have the exact same colour, their entire body, I find them more difficult to draw for some reason. I think it's because they don't have shapes of fur patterns that you can kind of identify their body shape from. And what I mean is that if a cat has got like a splotch on its head of black, or it's got like a black band here, you can relate the colour bands to each other, and it helps you to draw the shape of the cat better, or the shape of the head better for some reason. When they're all one colour, it kind of feels like you can't identify one part of their body from another, and so therefore actually relating parts of their body to each other becomes more difficult, and therefore sketching them becomes more difficult. So yeah, that's something that I'm practicing, obviously, but yeah, it remains a difficulty. This is a sketch I did of a garden. Obviously, it's one of the hammocks that the cats like to sit on. Again, fine liner, but with a colour marker, just to kind of give you a sense of the greenery of the trees and the plants and stuff, which I really enjoy the combination of, both the fine liner and the marker. A gestural sketch of Boo having a bath, giving himself a wash. Again, you can kind of see he's leaning over and he's licking his back. Super quick, done in pencil. More quick gestural ones. This was a little bit longer, of Bassie having a little snooze. She's really great to sketch because she has very distinct markings on her face and on her paws and on her tail. So you can always kind of get her proportions easier rather than struggling to kind of relate one side to another. They're actually, I find with her, I don't always get it right. That's her up there. Get the sense of him sitting and he's looking up to the top right hand corner, which is probably looking at a bird. And you know, the book on the little table. I really like this sketch. It was done fairly quickly, and I feel like I got the sense of him on the chair. So I absolutely adore this sketch, and the reason why I adore it is because it makes me laugh. It's so funny because of Bassie on her wheel. Now, Bassie loves to be on her wheel and she loves to be observed on her wheel. You always have to stand next to her, and we've got little pom-poms and we cheer for her and she loves it. But I did this sketch while she was running on the wheel, so it was really difficult to try and get a sense of her on the wheel, and so that's why I kind of love how I've managed to put it down. And I used it as the inspiration for, hang on, I'll show you, for the inspiration for the start of this sketchbook. So I did it as a painting. And this kind of tells me that doing things quickly is potentially a way in which I need to approach making work, rather than kind of sitting and tickling anything, or you know, not that I can't spend time and effort on something, but that perhaps getting the initial idea for something down super quickly in a kind of a sketch-like fashion like I've done here, and then working on it from there and seeing how much more work I need to put on it or do with it to make it work, or whether or not working in, say, for instance, oil bars or something like that on a prepared canvas is something that might actually be something to explore. So there's that. This was from the Tate Modern Tracy Emin exhibition. I did lots of sketches of all of her work, but one of the things that I really, really enjoyed about this particular painting was the use of this kind of like blue and this red. Now, they're not identical to her painting, but it gave me a sense of the kind of play of those two colours together, which I really enjoyed. So it's something I might want to explore. These sketches were done early in the morning, sitting in the garden, didn't have my contact lenses in, took my glasses off and thought, let me try to do some blind drawings. You know, I'm not completely blind, obviously, but you know, impaired vision drawings, so that I can't see any detail, and I'm really just getting down the shapes, and I quite enjoyed what came out of that as well. What was the last one I did? These again are just, you know, cat shapes, which is a really good exercise. Rather than worrying about detail and trying to get fur patterns and all that kind of stuff, is literally just looking at how the cat exists in space as a entirety, as a whole kind of bulk, and just sketching it out from there. So that was that. At the end of every sketchbook I do a thank you and goodbye painting / sketch. So that's that one. This is the May 2026 to June 2026 completed sketchbook. We completed it on the 2nd of July, but I think I'm just gonna allow it. The fastest ever sketchbook completion. As you've all already seen, I kind of mentioned that this particular start of my sketchbook, which is what I always do, I start a sketchbook with a little painting. I obviously didn't spell sketch correctly, what a muppet, but you know, I corrected it there. I mean, it works. I like how quirky it is, it's good. So May 2026, oh, we can also, we can put in here to June 26, there we go. God, I love it. I love it when I complete things. As an ADHDer, it's something that does not happen often, but is very satisfying when it does happen. Anyway, this is a sketch this is a painting taken from a sketch that I did of Bassie, our Siamese cat, on the wheel that she likes to run around. It's weird and I love it. Yeah. Let's have a look through the sketches that I feel were the most successful and or that I've learned something from this sketchbook. So this one of Boo, again, trying to get this little bugger sketched out is practically impossible. I mean, that's not terrible, but it's also not great. These ones that I started to do with the Caran Neocolour IIs, really loved. They're of Minxie, my older cat, and I feel like I really was starting to learn how to capture her fur pattern, and which allowed me to capture the essence of her quicker and better without doing an outline of her and then trying to fill in the outline. And this is the thing that I think I've learned the most from this sketchbook, or the most from this period of sketching and drawing and kind of putting things together, is actually I can get the shape and the essence of a cat by actually following the blocks of fur pattern, the blocks of colour, finding, you know, the darkest parts of her fur and then the lightest, and allowing that kind of contrast to actually make up the entire shape of her. So that has been the biggest lesson I think I've learned while drawing this May and June. So these sketches are quick ones again of Bassie and of Boo, and the thing that I love about this one is that Bassie quite often will scrunch her neck up and she just looks like she's got no neck, and this kind of really perfectly epitomises that, which, because you're looking at something, probably birds in the sky, and it really gets that gesture of her kind of scrunching her neck up. So yeah, enjoyed this one. This one of Boo, trying to get the kind of length of him when he's on the hammocks is difficult, because sometimes I make him too long, sometimes I make him too short, and because I'm looking up at him, there's an element of foreshortening, and foreshortening, as we know, is the devil. So yeah, it's always a struggle to try and get that correct. One of the things that I came back to in May and June was Emma Carlisle's Patreon. And now she's an illustrator, British-based illustrator. She does a lot of children's storybooks, picture books. They're absolutely beautiful. Her illustrations are stunning. She's a really gorgeous illustrator. And although she's not a fine artist, and I don't necessarily want to be an illustrator, I still really adore her work and really adore her Patreon, because she does so much kind of teaching. She's an excellent teacher. She sometimes puts up photo sets for you to kind of just draw from. This is from a particular picture set. It was a cat on some books in a wheelbarrow, and I kind of love the wonkiness of this cat. So as you know, I look after people's cats while they're away, and this is of a kitty called Zuko. He was sitting on my lap. I started trying to kind of sketch out while he was sitting on my lap, but as you can imagine, it was kind of difficult. So I just took a quick snap of it, and I ended up kind of completing it from a photograph. Although drawing from a picture is not always ideal, I have actually found it to be really, really helpful to kind of give me something to kind of go back and reference, especially when I'm trying to do quick sketches of something and I maybe want to make it a little bit more completed, or I want to finish it in some way. One thing that I found really, really helpful this month was making sure that I was diversifying the things that I was drawing. One of the things was live drawing sessions, and I have done a few sketches from a live drawing session with Emma Carlisle, which is of a model called Trixie and her mum. But this particular one of Trixie kind of lying down, having a little rest in a sewing costume, I really enjoyed. I enjoyed, again, it's black fineliner and then using a bit of the Neocolour IIs to kind of add some colour into the drawing as well. Compositionally, I love that there's lots of white space here, lots of negative space here, and then everything is kind of down this bottom third of the page. I quite enjoy that. That's something for me to learn about composition. Yeah, we do love Trixie. She's an excellent model. Not in this particular session, but in a secondary session of Trixie where she's kind of doing static poses. In fact, I think these may be photographs that she submitted to Emma Carlisle so that we had them to use to draw from. This one's great, I find. I have definitely got her gesture. She's yawning, and I've got the kind of the space in her body and all the kind of detail of the bra, etc. I think this is good. This one, I didn't quite get her lightness. I've made her look slightly weird, but anyway. It's all process, it's all learning, it's all kind of figuring it out. You know, these ones, again, less successful. But these next two are my absolute favourite sketches, probably of the entire sketchbook. Again, of Trixie, where I had kind of put down some kind of flesh tone of her initially, but then kind of gone over the fineliner to try and get the detail. And this particular one is of black fineliner and then done with some Luminance pencils in the kind of indigo blue. And the texture of the hair and everything about it is just chef's kiss, as far as I'm concerned. I really enjoyed this, and I want to find ways in which I can replicate this with maybe some self-portraits of myself or some other portraiture. So we'll see how I go with that. Well, that's more practice that will come. So these are little sketches, super quick little sketches that I was doing of cats that I've been looking after. And this particular cat's called Percy. He's a ginger boy. He's very, very fluffy. He has got the fluffiest tail on all on all record, I think. And the thing that I really enjoyed about this particular set of sketches is I was using one colour. I was using the Caran Neocolour IIs, which can be activated with water, and you can kind of make them look like watercolours, but I actually really enjoy the texture and the quality of them just used without water, just on their own. And the thing that I found about doing lots of little tiny sketches of cats is that, again, I could either just get shapes, or I could start to just get kind of like the darks and lights of their fur and figure out ways in which to kind of sketch them that way. So these were really, really enjoyable, and it kind of created a practice of doing it with other cats as well. I've got more here. So these are of some British short hairs that are kind of blue, kind of that grey-blue colour. Again, just kind of getting gestures down, you know, sometimes successful. This one's really cute. I enjoy that one. Having a little lie down, having a little down. This is really good. This kind of reminds me of Blue, actually, our cat. And then this little cute one of cleaning a paw. You know, like I said, we're starting to get a kind of practice in, and this meant that I was able to do it with Minxie. And, you know, that kind of, this pose of hers is such a common pose, and I thought I managed to get it so perfect with the Neocolour IIs, because again, I've found a colour that's almost identical to her fur pattern. So little paw wash, little sleepy, she's very cute. Moving on, these are all I feel quite successful. This one of Bassie, yes. This one of Boo, I don't know, I've made him look like some weird Egyptian statue, which is fair, I guess. Oh, okay, so this I wanted to show you because, again, it was kind of inspired by an Emma Carlisle painting drawing that she had done. Now, because she is an illustrator, she does paint and draw in a very illustrative style. And I gave this a little go of Bassie. You know, perhaps more practice is required, but I'm not entirely sure that this is my vibe, so we'll see. And another example of that is this one, which again is very kind of illustrative. Oh no, it's very like an illustration. I'm just going to go with that. And again, not entirely sure that that's what I want to be doing. So that's a lesson learned, in that, you know, illustration style is not really my style. I quite like this overlay. Lots of overlays of cats, but yeah, it's not really the thing I like to do. You know, I much prefer this. You know, this is a super quick, you know, gestural drawing of Boo sitting on one of our chairs in our kitchen, looking out into the garden, and it's 5 minutes. It was done while I was having my morning coffee, and I really, really like it. Here's two of Minxie and Bassie, again done with Caran Neocolours. Let's not look at that one. That's just, you know, bad sketches of people on the tube. But here are more little cat shapes. Here are cat shapes, but done in paint. These are done in gouache. This is of Boo, and this is of my niece's cat, Peanut. Ella, if you're watching, this is your kitty cat. More shapes of Boo Boo, done in gouache, and then I did this little painting of Boo and Bassie in gouache. Bassie's shape's not quite right. Boo's shape's perfect, but Bassie I did not quite get right. But anyway, doesn't matter. It's a bit of practice. Minxie. It was too hot. It has been too hot, and we're due another heat wave, so that's great. This I quite enjoyed, because it was basically taking several pictures of them starting to fight with each other. So it was from there to there to there. I didn't get the end of the fight because they both scarpered, but I quite enjoyed doing this in a kind of comic book type fashion. Here I think I've managed to get their shapes quite accurate, but then it goes slightly awry, but you still get the gist of it, which is absolutely great. It's fine. Just some panels, photographs of Minx. That's obviously her back with her tail. That's her little face, that's her ear. That's her little cute pawsies. Quick sketches of my friends' cats, Lolly and Mousy. I'm loving the comedy of these two. They're not in any way accurate. In fact, the fact that they're not accurate makes them the most hilarious. Something that I possibly do want to explore further. And then this is the last page of my sketchbook, which again has a thank you and goodbye. It's got a little cat called Tilly, who, you know, cleaning her butt. That's what cats like to do. And that's the end of that sketchbook. This has been, dare I say it, something that looks like consistency. And if you are familiar with ADHD and or you happen to have it yourself, you will know that consistency and us, those things are not friends. We are not friends. Myself and consistency have never been friends. So it has been a joy and a delight and a surprise that I've actually managed to complete these things. I hope you've enjoyed the video and that you are being creative wherever you are in the world. If you happen to be anywhere in the world that is enjoying a particularly hot summer this year, I hope you're staying cool, that you're staying in the shade, that you're wearing sunscreen and wearing a hat and being sensible and keeping cool, because Lord knows, here in London, it's been absolute hell on earth. I hope you're good wherever you are, that you're staying creative yourselves, and I'm going to see you next time.